blueprint where you can create a object. Okay, so what is an object which has its own states and behavior is called as your object. So members of the class, we have three members of the class. One is variable. Next, one more is methods, and one more is constructors. Correct, right? We have three members of the class constructors. One is variables, one is methods, one is constructors. Now let's talk about variables. Okay, so guys, why we want variables? In order to store the data. To store the data, we make use of what? Variables. So what is a variable? You know definition. A variable is a name memory location which can store the value, and this value can change n number of times during execution. This is called as a variable. Now we have types of variable. We have two types of variable. One is local variable and one more is global. Global variable. One is local variable and one more is global variable. Okay. Next, we have one more concept called as final variable. Final variable. Okay. So everybody understood? Everybody know this concepts of variable. Why is variable? What is variable? Types. Everybody know this concept? Everybody know this? Yes. Super. Next, let's go into the concept called as methods. In methods, what and all you guys should be aware of? In methods, what and all you guys should be aware of? You should guys, why methods? In order to, okay? So why we use methods? To perform operations. To perform operations, we make use of methods. To perform operation, we make use of methods. Okay. Next, what is method? Method is a named memory. It's a method is a block of statement. What is method? It's a block of statement which will get executed whenever it is called or invoked. That is a methods. Next, coming to the types of methods, we have two types of methods. One is methods with parameter and one more is methods without parameter. Methods with parameter and methods without parameter. So we have two types of methods. One is with parameter or without parameter. You can also call it as methods with arguments or methods without arguments. Both are same. Okay, you can call it as parameter or arguments. There is slight different, but it's okay. Okay, you can call methods with arguments or without arguments. Both are same. Okay, but parameter word is little bit different. Argument is bit different, but still it's okay. Almost a slight difference, but almost same. Okay, so methods with parameters or methods without parameters, so methods with argument or without argument, you guys should be aware of. So when do you use methods with the parameter? Whenever you're expecting input from the user. Whenever you're expecting input from the user, then we go with methods with parameter. Whenever you're not expecting input from the user, then we go with without parameters. Okay, next we go with what? Method overloading. Method overloading. Okay, so why we use method overloading? To perform same operation again and again. Okay, so we are going to develop a multiple methods with the same name but variation in the argument list. Okay, so we're going to what? We're going to develop the methods with the same name but variation in the argument list. That variation in the length, variation in the data types, and okay, and variation in the parameters. Okay, so method overloading, to perform the same operation we make use of it. Then method overriding. whenever you want to give a new implementation, okay, whenever you wanted what, a new implementation, then we go with what, method overriding. So we are going to develop a methods, the sub methods with same as a superclass, but variation in the parameter for subclass. That is called as what, method overriding. That is called as what, method overriding. Okay, so you guys should be aware of this concepts in methods. Everybody aware of this concepts in methods? Okay, this concepts you should be aware of in the methods. Okay, next, coming to your constructors. Coming to the constructors. So first of all, why we want constructor, guys? To create a object or to initialize the data members. Okay, to create a object or to initialize the data members of the class, we make use of what, constructors. Why we use constructor? To create a object or to initialize the data members of the class, we make use of constructors. So we have types of constructors. So what are those? Constructor with parameters, constructor without parameters, constructor without parameters, and one more is default constructor. One more is what, default constructor. Are you understanding? So we have three types of constructor. One is with parameter, one is without parameter, one is default constructor. Okay, then you guys should be knowing of constructor overloading. You guys should be aware of what? Constructor overloading. So we are going to develop the multiple constructor with the same name but variation in the parameter. Okay, that is for that we're going to what? Constructor overloading. Next we go with what? Constructor chaining. Constructor chaining. So one method calling an another method. Okay, we call it as what? Constructor chaining. One method will call another method. We go with a concept called as what? Constructor chaining. So this many concepts you guys should be aware in the concept called constructors. So everybody know this concepts in constructors? Everybody know this concepts in constructors? Okay. Next we go with loops. Loops. So guys, what is loops? Okay, so why we want loops? To perform same operation. Correct, right? Again, to perform same operation again, where start point and the end point is same. Where the start point, start point and the end points are same. Correct, right? Loop means what? Where the starting point and the ending point would be same. That is called as loops. So what is loops? To perform the same iteration, to perform same thing again, we go with what? Loops. Okay, so here we have different types of looping statements, different types of loops. So what are the different types of loops we have? We have for loop, we have for each. Next we have while loop. Next we have do while. Next we have do while. So we have four types of looping statements: for loop, for each, while, and do while. Okay. So for loop you guys already know. And in selenium I am going to frequently use this. You guys should be aware of for loop and for each. This is a frequently used looping statement. While and do while, the usage is very less, but frequently used looping statement is for loop and for each. So I'm going to use frequently this two. Are you understanding? Are you understanding? Frequently I'm going to use this two types of looping statement. Okay, next comes to your conditional statements. conditional state. Because when I talk about conditional statements, and you guys have studied so many conditional statements, correct? For if else, okay, if else ladder, switch cases, so many you have studied, so many, correct? Correct. But in Selenium, I just wanted if and else. I just wanted what? If and else. Because I don't want switch cases, I don't want if else ladder, I don't want other things. Why? Because in Selenium only there is a concept called as assertions. Okay, in Selenium only we have something called for conditional statements. We have a concept called as what? Assertions. So we don't use much here. We just wanted only if else. So if you know how to write if else block, that would be more than enough. I don't want any other concept here. Are you understanding? Switch cases, if else ladder is not required. Only this is enough. Okay. Next, arrays. Why do I use arrays? In order to store the huge data. To store what? Huge data, we make use of arrays. Okay, in order to store the huge set of data, we make use of array. Okay, so what is array? Array is a new memory location where we can store the data in the continuous format. Continuous format, and data should be homogeneous. It should be what type? It should be homogeneous type of data. And here the size will be fixed. Okay, it's a homogeneous type of data and the size will be fixed here. Okay, so coming to this arrays. What's the drawback of arrays? The drawback of arrays, here the size is fixed. Size is fixed, and also it can only store what? Homogeneous. Homogeneous type of data. Correct? Homogeneous type of data. So these are all the basic guys. What are all this? These are all the basics. These are all the basics of Java. So everybody understood the basics of Java? Everybody know till here? So these are all the what? Basics. You guys should be very good in what? Basics of Java. Okay, you guys should be very good in basics of Java. Okay, now comes to your hoops concept. Oops. Object oriented programs. Okay, yes. Whatever I'm teaching, only this much is required for Selenium. Okay, whatever I'm teaching, whatever we are revising, only so many concepts is required for Selenium. So let's talk about hoops concept. Hoop stands for what? Object oriented programs. What is hoops? Hoop stands for what? Object oriented programs. We have principles. One is inheritance. One is inheritance. One more is polymorphism. One is one more is encapsulation. Okay, one is polymorphism, one is encapsulation, and last one is what? Abstraction and abstraction. Principles of hoops: inheritance, polymorphism, encapsulation, and abstraction. Okay, now let's try to understand what are those uses. Okay, first thing, inheritance. Inheritance. Okay, so guys, why we use this inheritance? What's the use of inheritance? to perform the same operation or to avoid the repetition. To avoid what? Repetition. To avoid the repetition of the code, we make use of inheritance. Are you understanding? To avoid what? Repetition. To avoid the repetition of the code, we make use of what? Inheritance. Okay, so what is inheritance? To take away the property, to acquire the property. Okay, to take, to acquire the property from one class to another class, we make use of what? Inheritance. To take away the property. So we have, in that we have different types of inheritance. So it is single level inheritance, one is multi level inheritance. Next, we have hierarchical inheritance. Next, we have hybrid inheritance. Hybrid. Next, we have multiple inheritance. Okay, single level, multi level, and hierarchical, hybrid, and multiple inheritance. Okay, so this is all about inheritance. Everybody know it's a very simple concept and it's a very important. Simple, but it is very, very important. In Selenium, though it's very important. Why we go with automation, guys? To avoid the repetition of the code. Correct, right? Wanted to avoid the repetition. For that's a purpose, inheritance helps us to avoid what? The repetition of the code. We can write it one time and we can extend it to the other classes. To avoid the repetition, we go with what? Inheritance. Next comes to what? Polymorphism. Next comes to what? Polymorphism. So, what is polymorphism, guys? The object showing different behavior. Why polymorphism? The object showing different behavior at its life cycle. Correct, right? The object showing what? Different behavior at its life cycle. That is called as polymorphism. Okay. Now we have types of polymorphism types. So we have two types of polymorphism. One is compile time polymorphism. Compile time polymorphism, and one more is a runtime polymorphism. At a compile time polymorphism, the objects are getting created. The objects are created during the 1 second. Okay, so we are going to what is compile time polymorphism? So here object we are going to declare. Okay, the methods are getting binded. The methods are getting binded to the definition based on your argument passed. Okay, the method declarations are getting binded to the definition based on what? Argument passed. For that we go with what? Compile time polymorphism. What is runtime polymorphism? The method declarations are getting binded to the definition based on JVM based on object creation. Okay, JVM based on object creation, we go with what? Runtime polymorphism. Example is method overloading. Example is method overloading. Here the example is method overriding. Example is method overloading and method overriding. Okay. So in polymorphism, compile time is also important for us. Runtime polymorphism also important for us. And you guys are aware of it. Both. Yes? Yes? Okay. Super. Next comes to your abstraction. Next comes to your abstraction. So, why abstraction? Hiding the complexity and exposing the required feature of an application. Okay, hiding the complexity and exposing the required feature of an application. We go with the concept called as abstraction. Okay, next, how can we achieve this abstraction? We can achieve this abstraction with the concept called as what? Interface. Okay, we can achieve this abstraction with the concept called as what? Interface. Okay, so what is interface? Interface is also one of the Java type. Okay, interface is also one of the Java type. So class and interface are the Java type. In interface also we have members. So what are the members we have? We have variables, variables, but anything you declare, it is by default public, public, static, final variable. Okay, next methods. By default, it is abstract. By default, abstract. Constructor. There is no concept of constructor in the interface. Okay, are you understanding? So variable by default is public static final variable. Methods all there by default is abstract methods. Abstract means what? No body, no body for it. There is no concept called as constructors. Okay, so we cannot create object. We cannot create object for the interface. Okay, from interface to interface, if you want to take anything, we use extends. Class to class, we use extend. Okay, so from interface to class, we use implements. Class to interface, it is not possible because interface is a supermost, it is not a possible. Okay, so everybody understood. So abstraction and interface. Next comes to your encapsulation. Encapsulation. Okay, so why we use encapsulation? To do the data protection. Okay, for data protection we go with what? Encapsulation. Protection or data hiding. Okay, protecting the data or data hiding, we go with what? Encapsulation. So here we can access this. Okay, we can access this encapsulated data with the help of two types. One is getters methods and one more is setters method. Getters method is used to read the data. Setters method is used to modify the data. Modify the data for data protection or for data ID. Protection or ID, both are same. Okay, we go with what? Encapsulation. We can access the data for getters by reading, for setters for modify. Understood everyone? Encapsulation. Okay, how can we do data hiding? By making use of private keyword. Next, typecasting. Typecasting, converting from one type to another type. Converting from one type to another type, we make use of typecasting. So we have two types of typecasting. Okay, what is typecasting? Converting from one type to another type is called as typecasting. So we have two typecasting. So which are those? Which are those? Which are those? No, no. One is primitive typecasting and one more is non-primitive typecasting. Okay, converting from one primitive data type to another primitive data type is called primitive. Here we have what? Narrowing, and here we have what? Widening. Non-primitive. Here we have two types. One is what? Upcasting, and one more is what? Downcasting. Okay, so you would have studied so many concepts: narrowing, widening, upcasting, downcasting, so many things you would have studied. But in Selenium, I just wanted a concept called as upcasting. This is very, 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 very important for me. Only this upcasting is very important for me. Others are not required. Upcasting. What is upcasting? Converting the subclass object. Converting the subclass object to its superclass. Okay, that is called as what? Upcasting. Converting the subclass object to superclass or child to parent or subclass superclass, one and the same. Converting the subclass object to a superclass, we go with the concept called as upcasting. We go with the concept called as what? Upcasting. Understanding? Understanding? Very important. Next, coming to the access specifiers. Next comes to where? Access specifiers. Access specifiers or modifier. Modifier. Access specifier or modifiers. Okay. So what is access specifiers or modifiers? So we have four types of access specifier. So why we want to restrict the accessibility level? To restrict the accessible level, to accessibility level. Okay, to restrict the accessibility level from one class to class or a package to package, we go with access specifier. Okay, to restrict the accessible level from class to class or package to package, we use this access specifiers or modifiers. So first one, we have public. Public means we can access it anywhere. That is between any classes or between any interface, any packages. Between the classes, between the package, anywhere you can access. Private, only, only within the class. Only within the class. Okay. Protected, protected. Within the class and also outside the within the package and also outside the package with with is a relationship, that is inheritance. With the is a relationship, that is inheritance. Okay, next, public, private, protected and default. Okay, and we can access it only within the package. Public anywhere, private only within the class, protected within the package and also outside the package with a easy relationship. Default we can access only within that package. Are you understanding what are the accessibility levels we have? If you have completed till year, okay, if you have completed till year, yes, still you can attend your Selenium classes. Okay, if you have completed your concepts till year, you are eligible to attend your uh, what is the Selenium classes. So everybody of you completed till year? Yes. Okay. Collections are ongoing. Okay, collections are ongoing. Okay, collections are ongoing or not yet started, but still you can attend it. Are you understanding? Collections are ongoing and not yet started, but still you can attend. Okay, now look here. Now we wanted collections. Guys, in collections, you guys have studied so many concepts in your Java. Correct, right? You guys have studied list, map, queue, set, so many things. But in Selenium, I don't want so many things. But in Selenium, I don't want so many things. I just want little. I just want little. So what is collection? In order to store the huge set of data. Okay, what type of data? Heterogeneous type of data. And the size is what? Dynamic. And the size is dynamic. Okay, this is a main purpose of using what? Collection. So in collection, I just wanted two things. One is list interface and one more is set interface. One is list interface, one is set interface. I just wanted two interfaces in collection. One is list, one is one is array list, one more is vector, and one more is linked list. Linked list. In set also, we have three types. So what are the three types we have in set? We have tree set, one more is asset, and one more is linked asset. One more is linked hash set. Okay, so we have three types. So these are two interfaces are very important for us. Others it is not required for us. We don't use it in Selenium. So when do you use array list? Whenever we want it. Okay, to grow the size by 50%, then we go with what? Array list. Okay, so whenever you want to grow the size by 100%, we go with what? Vector. Here it is not synchronized. That means you can perform multiple tasks at a time. But here it is synchronized. That means you can only do one task at a time. It is synchronized. So we can save time here because we are performing multiple tasks. But it consumes lot of time here because we are performing one task at a time. Linked list. What is linked list? To follow the same order of insertion. To follow same order of insertion, we use the linked list. Tree set. What is tree set? You will get the output in what? Ascending order by removing the duplicates. Okay, we're going to get the output by removing the duplicates. We're going to get output in ascending order by removing the duplicates. Next, we go with what? Asset. Asset. So in the hat set, what we are going to do is we are going to get the output in terms of auto sorted by removing the duplicates. In the linked asset, we get the same order of insertion, but what? By removing the duplicates. Always in the set, we are going to get the output by removing the duplicates. So you always get the unique data. You always get the limit data. So why we go with list interface? Whenever you want to store the data upon index, in the form of what? Indexing. Data upon index, we go with the list. Whenever you wanted unique data by removing the duplicates, we go with the set. So I just wanted list and set. I don't want queue, I don't want map. I don't use anywhere in my Selenium. If you know this too, that is more than enough. Everybody understood? And if you are still ongoing, collections is not started, it's ongoing, but still that's okay, you can attend your Selenium classes. Okay, I don't know ma'am what it is, but still you can attend your Selenium classes. Selenium ongoing or completed, you guys can attend your classes. Understanding. Next comes to your last concept, that is nothing but your exception handling. Exception handling. Okay, so why we use exception handling? For the smoother execution of the program. Okay, for the what? Smooth execution. For the smooth execution of the program, we make use of what? Exception handling. What is exception handling? It's an event which occurs during the execution of the program which terminates the program abruptly. Okay, that is called as exception handling. So we have two types of exception handling. One is, okay, in exception we have two types. So what are the two types of exception handling we have? One is compile time and one more is runtime, or it is called as checked and it is called as unchecked. Exceptions which are checked during the compile time of the program, we call it compile time exceptions. We can handle them using what? Try and catch block, and also we can handle them by using a concept called as throws. Okay, runtime exceptions or unchecked exception, we can handle it with the help of what? Only try and catch. Only try catch. Okay, we cannot handle them with the help of throws. So these are all the Java concept what is required for to learn your Selenium. If you have not completed with your collection and exception handling, that is still fine, you are eligible to attend, but hoop should be completed. But what? Hoop should be completed. Everybody understood? Okay, so you can just make a note of it. Okay, this documents will be given to you guys. Documents will be shared to you guys. Okay, from Monday, and everybody listen. Monday onwards, WhatsApp group will be created. Documents and programs we are going to share it only on Monday. Okay, so tomorrow I'm going to start up with core concept of your. So tomorrow we are going to learn up with introduction to automation. Introduction to automation I'm going to start in tomorrow classes. Are you understanding? So we are going to start the class, and as I told you, this entire week till Friday, you'll have 1 hour of classes. This entire week, you'll have 1 hour classes. From Monday onwards, you guys will have 2 hours of classes. 2 hours of classes from Monday, and documents, programs, everything will be given to you only on Monday. Okay, please start. This week you don't. This week Saturday you don't have a class. Okay, so usually your classes are from Monday to Saturday, but since it is a new class, this Saturday you don't have a class. This Saturday you don't have a class. Okay, please start writing your notes. Start writing the notes. I'll share you the documents. I'll share the documents, and people who joined today, newcomers, people who have joined new today, okay, you can take a snap or you can write it. Okay, 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. This entire week it is 7 o'clock. Okay, so people who have joined it today, so not to worry. Okay, I've not started anything yet. Okay, so I'll give the revision or a repetition class for you on Friday. Whatever we did yesterday, that will be given to you on Friday. You can just it will take 35 days. It will take 35 days. So guys, if you dedicatedly concentrate and work, I'll make sure end of this year you will get a job. Okay, there's a huge requirements which is happening, which is there is a lot of huge requirements. If you're really very good, I am going to hire it to my own organization.